Good morning, beautiful wives. I hope you are doing amazing. So, we are back today with another Respect There from the Respect There 40 Days to a Deeper Connection with God and with your husband. So, today's Dare is Dare 30, and it's called Too Much Skin. The verse of the day is like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion. So, in today's devotional, the author tells us about this couple that went to this party. It appears to be like a work event. And there is this woman that comes in, and she's dressed in a very little short dress with a lot of cleavage and a very tight dress. So, you know, and it marks her body and it shows everything that does not need to be shown. So, anyways, this husband asks his wife to switch places with him because from where he's at, he can see too much of her. So when the wife changes with him, she realizes what he was talking about, like from the way that it describes, it doesn't say this, but this is what I'm understanding between the lines. From the way that it was described, her dress was so short that you could really almost see, her underwear, her uterus, from the way that she was sitting across the room. So anyways, so she changes with the husband and whatnot. And this woman who's dressed that way is a married woman. It says here that the lady, Claire, asks, where is her husband? And the husband tells her, oh, I don't know. But if I was him, I wouldn't have come with her either. Look at the way she looks. So Claire was confused and she asked him, well, why wouldn't you want to strut around with a trophy wife like that in your arm? And Paul, the husband, asks, and it surprises her, but it also warmed her heart. Well, 15 years ago, maybe I would have, but today I am more mature. Well, it says I've changed, but what I understand is he's more mature. That girl only wants attention and it's doing everything she can to get it. Her husband is not naive either. He probably sees her motives and wants no part of it. I mean, what man wants all his friends thinking about having sex with his wife? It's so sad. But but he's actually a pretty nice guy. So, this was a warning for Claire to take care of her own body, to look good for her husband, right? And it made her upset that her husband had to go to work and deal with this every day, because the book says that this woman made it a habit of wearing very short skirts and very low cut blouses, which means she's showing a lot of boobs and a lot of legs, almost her butt, right? So the point here, and from my understanding, okay, the point here is not that the woman was looking good, was not that she was looking sexy. No, is that the motivation behind the way she dressed was to get attention, and the attention she was getting was a sexual attention. It was not a positive attention, right? So it says here on bottom line, we need to be respectful of other women's husband in the way that we dress. Make it easy for your husband's friends and coworkers by dressing conservatively and saving the glamour for the hubby. So it is very obvious, right? That the reason why she was dressing the way she was dressing is to get attention, right? So obvious that not only her husband noticed, but other men in the room and women in the room noticed too, and how sad is that? It's how what the husband said, like it's pretty sad, and then the wife also felt bad for the lady, so I think that the point here is that it's not how do I say this? Can you wear shorts and show your legs? Yes, of course. Can you wear little t-shirts and show your shoulders? Yes, of course. Can you wear dresses? Yes, of course. It's about the motivation of the heart. I don't think any of us are going out with dress so short that you can almost see the butt and boobs coming out of the clothing, right? Especially into a place where there is going to be all these married men, right? So, anyways, another thing that I think it's important for us to realize is that our husbands are visual, as much as they don't have the habit of looking around to other women because they might be a lot more mature. However, they are still visual. They still like things that look good. Okay, so it is a motivation for us to keep ourselves looking good, to keep our bodies looking good, right? But I think that what called my attention the most about this Dare today is question number 1. Where am I? Okay, how has our culture convinced women that being sex objects is good, beautiful thing? And my answer was there in so many ways, right? So many ways in television, commercial, ads. We see half-naked women everywhere, and it paints a picture of power. It paints a picture that nakedness equals power, and as I was writing this answer and elaborating and meditating on it, it came to me like as a revelation that God created us to be spiritually naked, emotionally naked, to be vulnerable with one another, with Him, with our spouses. Obviously, we're not going to go be vulnerable in a place that's not safe, but He created us for nakedness. He created Adam and Eve naked from the very beginning, and that nakedness, although he was physically naked, he represented a spiritual nakedness because they were clothed with his glory, and because of the light that they were covered with, they could not see each other's nakedness because all they saw was the glory of God on each other. All they saw was the light of God on each other, so that to me, it speaks so much of nakedness. Nakedness equals vulnerability, and it's meant to be a spiritual nakedness. It's meant to be the way that we approach people and the way that we share ourselves with people at a spiritual level, at an emotional level even, but it was never meant to be a physical nakedness to attract sexual attention, and because vulnerability is powerful and vulnerability does equal power when you are spiritually, emotionally vulnerable, the way that I see this is the enemy has twisted and distorted this truth to make women believe, to make people believe really, but especially women, to make women believe that nakedness on your body equals power. Look at that. Like, the enemy has no new strategies under the earth. Everything he does copying of God, and as I was reading, as I was meditating on this is what came to me. Nakedness in the very beginning represented vulnerability and the clothing with God's glory, and somehow it has been twisted to now you walking around half naked to call other people's attention is a good thing. How did that happen? We live in a fallen world, right? But the point is that whatever we can do to be able to keep ourselves pure-hearted, clean-handed, we must do. It is our responsibility to keep ourselves pure-hearted, and yes, it is our husbands and men's responsibility to look or not look, right? Just like this guy, like, he asked his wife to change places with him because he was looking too much. He couldn't keep his eyes off, right? So it is his responsibility, and he took responsibility for what he was for what he could do, right? However, it is our responsibility to keep our hearts clean before God, and to examine the motives of our heart when we go out, when we dress ourselves, and I have seen, and I have experienced, you have a little bit of belly showing, or you have your legs showing, or whatever, but your motivations was never to call attention. Your motivations was never to expose yourself, and you don't have all of this skin exposed. You know what I mean? So it's up to each one of us to discern between us and God what is okay and what is not okay, but the point is that it is our responsibility to keep our hearts clean and to revert this whole nakedness thing back to what God originally intended it to be: spiritually naked, vulnerable before Him, vulnerable before our husbands, and clothed with God's glory, clothed with God's light, that people cannot see our physical nakedness. Why? Because the motivation of our heart is not there to be seen. So that's what I had to share for today. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. This can also be a little bit of a controversial topic. Some people, like more nakedness than others. So please do share with me what your thoughts are. All right. I love you. Have a wonderful day.